In this video, I want to touch on some of the new Cybertruck videos which you've just seen released. I also want to have a look at some of the biggest potential risks to the Cybertruck project and some of the long-term volume predictions. Firstly, some of the new footage we've just seen from Tesla or from Tesla fans from the new Cybertruck has been absolutely epic. What are some of your biggest takeaways from the videos we've just seen?
Yeah. First of all, shout out to all the different Twitter creators that have put that content out. I tried my absolute best to give as many people as possible credit on that thing that we put together on the channel. So super thankful for everybody who was there creating the content. I think I've got everybody covered under that video. It's been awesome. I think it's the first time we've really seen that truck up close and personal and really see the details of what the production version will look like. You know, we've seen clips and pictures of the prototype without the side view mirrors that was a little bit bigger, and it didn't really have the details finished. The interior, you couldn't really see the interior. But with this one, we've really been able to see the details around the truck, the corners, the vents, the lights, the interior, the door pockets, the trim. You can see absolutely everything, the seats. And the things that really stick out to me is that the car actually looks pretty damn good. It looks pretty damn good from a build perspective. Yeah, there's like little things here and there with like a couple panels are off, and I think the tailgate it looks like it needs a little bit of better alignment, but you can clearly see that it opens and closes. But then you also have to think about this is going to be a truck, and if you go out and look at the build quality, and I encourage everybody to do this, go and look at the build quality of F-150, a Silverado, your 1500s, and take a look at the little details. It ain't going to be perfect because those things are designed, like the thought process is someone's going to beat the crap out of this thing, right? So like the little details aren't that big of a deal because it's going to, you know, the thought process is it'll be covered in mud in about 24 hours or covered in dirt in about 24 hours. So, but it did look pretty good from that standpoint. Camera on the front bumper that's low to the ground and looks forward. That's a new thing. We haven't seen that on any Tesla before, and it's I'm like 99% certain that's a hardware 4 thing. I believe some of the leaks that were on Twitter of the chip or where you plug in all the ports for the cameras and all that good stuff, there was an additional port available, and so potentially it's for that camera up front, which, you know, there were some fears that the current set of hardware, like the vision, wouldn't be great for the parking assist without the sensors. A lot of people were speculating that Tesla will need to include another camera somewhere to be able to do that. Maybe that's the next step to enable the cars to have better parking assist, just using vision, which kind of makes sense. But yeah, I think it looks great. There were a couple additional videos that I posted on the comments of the one we posted not too long ago that showed the tailgate as well and some of the ports and stuff you could use in the bed. So yeah, I'm just dying to get my hands on one, man. I want mine right now. I really want mine right now, and I'd love to get that thing through the paces and see what it can do from a performance perspective. But yeah, it looks good. It looks sharp. It's everything looks basically done. I think there was one piece of trim in the interior right under the screen that looked like it wasn't installed, so maybe that's just one of the pieces they don't have yet for that. But I'm sure there's going to be little features here and there that the car has that we're not aware of that it's probably going to blow our minds. So yeah, I can't wait to see what this thing offers.
Yeah, I thought it looked good. I thought the tonneau cover looked amazing. The way that
Yeah.
came out, the close up was excellent. Also,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was whether you spotted it or not, but the quick steering at low volume, at low
Yep.
speed, I thought that was excellent. And that's actually, I know obviously long term autonomy is the goal, but people are always going to want to drive. I thought, that's actually an amazing feature. Which, if that just adjusts for low speed and high speed, and it becomes really intuitive, that could be a great feature.
Yeah, that's what Teslas are known for. I think the reason why Tesla's driving dynamics are liked by so many people is because of that quick steering, especially in the Model 3 and the Model Y. It's 360 degrees. It's just to full lock to lock on either side. And if it really has that quick of a ratio, it's probably steer by wire, which means that at highway speeds, it's going to loosen up, call it the steering wheel, so that your small inputs don't make the freaking truck go like crazy on the highway. So, and I haven't driven many pickup trucks, and I don't know if any other pickup truck that has that type of quick steering response from the wheel. So I'd be very curious to see how people like that sort of dynamic on the truck. And then you also have the rear wheel steering, which is going to give it a much better turning radius as well, potentially much better than any other pickup truck out there. So just a lot of cool things about that truck that we haven't seen before. I think we saw the rear wheel steering before, but the tonneau cover was a really cool addition. It literally just goes, in front of the back window, and it just hides. And I'm wondering if the back window also comes down. I think there were rumors that the back window will come down as well to potentially create some sort of pass through into the cabin. Maybe you can fold that whole thing down with the cover in it. I have no idea, but yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. There's just so much. There's so much.
So as we know, prototypes are easy, production is hard, as Elon has been telling us for ages. What are some of the key risks or biggest risks you think could be associated with the Cybertruck project?
Yeah, I really think the biggest risk is going to be sourcing enough parts and getting the production line as up as quickly as possible. Really, I don't really think there's any other risks associated to it. I think the demand for it will be through the roof. It's already generating a ton of interest from the public, especially as we near its production date, its production launch rather, delivery days at probably end of Q3, beginning of Q4, if I were to guess. And the closer we get to that date, the more hype there's going to be around this truck. So it's going to be purely around how quickly Tesla can ramp up production. My expectation is that Tesla will be able to produce somewhere between 1,000 to 10,000 Cybertrucks this year, and then next year, probably somewhere, hopefully around 100,000, and then by year 2, call it full year, the second year, 2025, maybe they'll get to 200,000, and then I do expect this truck to have a production of well over 500,000 per year when it's at full ramp. I fully expect this truck to have that sort of demand. And I think Tesla will build the production for it. And places like Australia, I think, are gonna really want this truck. South America, I think it's gonna be very popular in South America. It could be popular in Africa as well. I think there's a lot of markets that this truck could do extremely well in, where people might utilize the truck to get stuff done. There's in developing nations, especially developing nations need tools to move stuff around and to build things. And the Cybertruck is going to be the lowest cost per mile by far of any pickup truck style vehicle out there. I mean, potentially by more than half. Probably, I would guess it's probably less than a fourth of the running costs of a traditional pickup truck if you take into account maintenance and quote unquote fuel. I expect that to be the long-term differentiation between a Cybertruck and, say, a diesel F-150 or 250 or something like that. So it's going to be interesting to see if that actually happens. I predict it will. And for that, you're going to need a lot of trucks. So over time, I fully expect Tesla to reach 500,000 per year unit level, and potentially more. F-Series trucks from Ford is about 1 million per year, but they service a lot of markets. But knowing that Elon Musk has been touring the world and talking to everybody, try to get a site open in basically every country, it seems like, there's no reason to believe that Tesla won't be there as well.
Elon said at Investor Day they were gunning for 250,000 units a year, and then I think he said maybe more depending on demand. Do you think he's sandbagging with 250,000 a year then, or do you think he genuinely is uncertain?
I think he is sandbagging and uncertain at the same time, because they've never made a truck like this before. This is sort of a one of a kind product that I suspect will dictate how the rest of the pickup truck market and vehicle market will sort of shift over the coming decade. And I think the 250 number was set at the end of 2019 when we first saw this thing, and we're finally going to see this thing delivered in a couple months here. So I think it's just reiterating that number, but I fully expect this truck to be significantly higher than that. It Elon has learned to sandbag a few things. He's still not, it was other things when it comes to like long term moonshot, quote unquote, type ideas. He's still very much in the I'm going to push the timeline as much as possible. And I think a lot of that is due to wanting to make sure the teams working on those projects have a fire under them so that they can get the stuff done. But when it comes to more near term things that are, say, production related, as of late, it seems like he has been a little bit more sandbaggy for the long term targets. When it comes to the launch of the products, he's always behind. But we should come to expect that from him. But just conceptually speaking, and you tell me this: those 250,000 Cybertrucks per year, does that sound right to you? Does that sound low to you? Does it sound high to you?
Well, I am bullish on Tesla, and I believe they can become leaders in any segment they work on. We've seen that perfectly with the Model Y. Model 3 was pretty great as well. So I don't see a reason why Cybertruck can't be the best selling pickup truck in the world. Now, I'm not saying it will be, but if it's not and it gets 500,000, which is half of the F series, I think that's very achievable. So,
Right?
Why not? Why not? Give me a reason why it can't do 500,000.
Yeah, and the other number that comes to mind too is Tesla Model Y, best selling car in the world, on track to do over 1 million units this year, and Ford sells 1 million F Series alone in the United States. I think it might be global, but they sell 1 million F Series trucks, and then you put the Ram 1500 on top of that, and the other vehicles as well. So why can't the Cybertruck reach that level of production? I don't know. Maybe we're thinking about it incorrectly. Maybe the people that say this is not going to cater to the work person and blah blah blah. Maybe they're right, but I just don't think that's correct because every time Tesla has launched a product, they dominate the segment that they've launched in. And now that Tesla has the advantage of price, that's one thing that doesn't get talked about enough. Tesla has now the advantage on price. And that's the main reason why I believe Model Y is so successful, is because it's not just a great car, but it's also very affordable, especially for what you get. And so the Cybertruck is the generation after the Model Y, which has been able to achieve this. So wouldn't you think Cybertruck's going to take that to a new level? To me, it
Yeah.
seems that's the case.
And then the next question is then, where are they going to build them? Because I don't know what the capacity could be at Giga Texas, but it doesn't look like anything anywhere else is being teed up for Cybertruck build either.
I think Austin will be able to do 500,000 long term. They'll probably have to create multiple locations to localize supply chain and manufacturing processes. I think that's just an overall trend that manufacturing is going through right now post COVID. Just a lot of deglobalization and localization. So I think Austin will be plenty production capacity for the Cybertruck for say the next 3 to 5 years, up until they're fully ramped and they're able to satiate the demand that they have for the truck. So there could be another one. Maybe that's the Australian plant. They'll announce sometime in the future, or maybe somewhere in the Asia Pacific where they could sell the Cybertruck to multiple markets. That would make sense. But yeah, I think you also have to remember that the Texas, the Austin land area is insane. They have so much land here. I think 2,700 acres or something insane. They could fit freaking 10 gigafactories if they wanted on that land. So yeah, I would say Texas will be more than enough. And over time, if they need more than say 500,000 per year, they'll probably build out. But then think about it this way too: the amount of square footage that's going to be required to build a Cybertruck with the next generation sort of techniques, and the fact that it doesn't have a paint job, like a paint shop, that is going to reduce the area of manufacturing that's needed to complete the truck. So you could fit, an existing factory that can do 1 million Ys per year, let's say, could theoretically also do 1 million Cybertrucks, even though the Cybertruck is significantly larger by volume, because you don't need a paint shop anymore.
So you touched on Cybertruck maybe changing the course of the trucking automotive industry as a whole. What sort of impact do you think it's going to have? Why is it going to have that impact? What key parts of the Cybertruck's design are going to lead to that shift, in your opinion?
For me, it's just cost of ownership, upfront costs. That's one of the big things that's underrated about Tesla in its current form. The Model Y, if you take that as a vehicle, it's cost competitive with a RAV4 over the course of the long-term ownership. So say 5 to 8 years. It costs about the same to own a Model Y than it does a Toyota RAV4. Toyota RAV4 is about, I don't know, $15,000 cheaper starting price, maybe even more. And you get significantly more car, significantly higher performance, but then you also get much lower running costs because of the lack of maintenance and electricity instead of gas. So that's huge. A pickup truck is very much a tool in a sense for, especially in the United States, for people. I live in the Austin area and I see many trucks with stuff in the bed, lawn care, construction, irrigation. There's a bunch of different industries that use pickup trucks for everyday work. And when it comes to entrepreneurship and owning a business, you don't really care what something looks like. What you care about is A, how much it's going to cost, and B, how reliable is it going to be, and C, what's the return of investment on this thing, right? So a Cybertruck, especially if it launches with, say, similar starting price than a, say, F-150 or a Ram 1500, which are some of the most common trucks being used for work today, then at that point, you're like, okay, I'm a business or I'm an individual. I'm not going to be paying gas on a truck that's going to get 20 miles per gallon, if that. I'm not going to be paying $100+ oil change every 3,000 to 5,000 miles or whatever that is. I'm not going to be worried about a transmission that's going to go out. I'm not going to be worried about shocks that I'm going to have to change because I'm carrying all this load. I'm not going to worry about replacing brakes from stopping giant loads in my truck because the car has regenerative braking. Right? So all these things add up over time. And then when you sit down and you do the math, you're like, do I want to pay, I don't know, nowadays $100,000 over the potentially more over the life of the ownership of a pickup truck, or do I want to pay like $70,000 or $60,000? Because the starting price of the pickup truck with, say, EV incentives and business incentives and all those things could get me down to 40, maybe even less, and then I only have to pay for electricity because the freaking car is a tank. And so the argument that the truck won't be popular with working people is about as weak of an argument that I could think of for the Cybertruck, because working people care about cost. So what if maybe it can't do one thing that you're looking for it to do? Like say, oh, well, the sides are, they're slanted. I don't have direct access from the side. I have to go around the back now. Okay, is that worth $30,000 to you? If the question is yes, great. But I just don't think most people think like that. I think most people will look at the weaknesses of the truck versus, say, an F-150, and then they'll say, okay, so it can't do that, but I'm going to save this much money over time. And my guess is the aftermarket ecosystem that's going to arise from the launch of this thing will plug any of those weaknesses or gaps that the Cybertruck will have and become this everything, it can do everything truck over time. And at that point, it becomes a no-brainer. It's going to be cheaper to run, no maintenance, and it will do literally everything that your F-150 truck can do. And then when people talk about, well, range, that's going to be a problem. Maybe it is, but Tesla has a very good track record of offering by far the best range for the money that you can get. And if Tesla is right about, hey, it's going to be 500 miles plus on an empty load, theoretically, this thing could maybe have 250 miles of range on a full load or something like that, around that area, around that sort of distance. And for most people, that's more than enough range to do the hauling that they need to do. So for majority of use cases, it will not cover every single one, right? There are people that want to haul, I don't know, 20,000 pounds cross country every other month because of work or leisure or whatever. Maybe the Cybertruck isn't for you, but it will, my guess is it will definitely capture 80% of use cases out there. And it would be a no-brainer. You will be losing out on a lot of money if you don't make the change. That's just my prediction. And people ultimately are quite motivated by saving money. So I think that will dictate a lot of the behavior.